Welcome back to Rehabilitation Revelations World. I'm Chase.
And I'm Christopher. Look, today, guys, we got Mr. Carl Carpenter on here with the Walker County Sheriff's Office. And look, I know it's crazy. We're sitting up here in the jail, and we don't like coming back here to jail and everything. But we had an opportunity to sit down with this man right here to really kind of just put us on some game, kind of tell us his day-to-day, what he does for the Walker County Sheriff's Office to facilitate, the people in here, what they can do, what the options are out there. But I'm really not trying to steal your thunder or anything, man. I'll let you kind of go in what you do day to day and, kind of how you help facilitate those things, man.
My name's Carl. I am the program coordinator for the Walker County Sheriff's Office CART program. CART stands for Comprehensive Accountability, Recovery and Treatment. And what the CART program is designed to do is help people who have come into jail and are most likely at their lowest point in life and start turning their life for a positive direction to go when they reintegrate back to the community. So if you were to say this is a recovery program, it is, but not just for substance use disorder. We plan on looking at the whole person when they come in and try to gear resources for them to make them a more accountable citizen when they get back out. So we involve parenting classes, we have adult education classes, we have, we are always coming up with something new to try to bring in here and help people. But the majority of our problems with folks that come into jail is substance use disorder of some type.
Yeah, I got you. And really, I guess walking it back a little bit, man, how did you even get started with doing this?
Up until probably 18 months ago, I was the major crime investigator for Walker County. So that meant a lot of call outs in the late night, early mornings, a lot of overdose deaths. And a couple things started to just stick out to me that really bothered me, and that was the number of people that were overdosing. And then also I had the misfortune of working a young lady who overdosed that was 5 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a hard situation to work through when you just imagine that she didn't only take her own life, but she took a future life. Sure. So about 18 months ago, Sheriff Nick Smith pulled me in the office and he says, we have too many overdose deaths. We need to work on cutting that number down. So it initially started out as doing public presentations, Narcan give outs, things like that. And then had the fortunate opportunity to go to a speaking series across the state called Stop the Stigma. I was invited to speak at that group because I brought in parenting classes for our mothers trying to reduce infant mortality in the community. And somebody thought that would be a good thing for me to talk about. So I sat in on a medication-assisted treatment presentation. And I had always been anti-MAT. I was, up until probably 2.5 years ago, up until about 10 years ago, I was a staunch hater of substance use disorder. Anybody that was involved with it. At the former agency that I worked at, I just put you in jail and really had there wasn't any end goal that I wanted to. I just wanted you're breaking the law, I'm gonna put you in jail, you're gonna pay a consequence for it.
Mm-hmm. So seeing that, that death rate, is that really kind of what changed your mind about how you felt about people in addiction, or?
Well, it actually started with a friendship that I had probably 10 years ago with someone who was in recovery, and she just kind of opened my mind about the perspective from the addiction side, from the addict side. Mm-hmm. So I was always fortunate not to have had people in my family that suffer from substance use disorder or anything. I was really naive about a lot of things, and so I kind of got softened up then, but probably the death investigations I really got tired of working deaths. And it was very frustrating because I've been in law enforcement for 28 years, and with college before that, I've got 30 years of experience with this criminal justice system. Yeah. And I felt like that everything I was looking at was just the justice system spinning their wheels on wet grass with whatever they were trying to do, and we needed something different.
Yeah.
So seeing the presentation on MAT, I came back and I had the misfortune and then very good fortune to become friends with one of your previous guests, Nikki Warren, who was in the recovery community. And we went to Lavish Coffee one morning, and I sat down and I said, "Do you think it's ever possible to bring MAT into the jail?" And she said, "Well, it's already there, but if you want to bring it legally, it'll be tough. But there's no sense in leaving it at that. If you really want to make a difference, work on what you want to see going out the door, not what you see coming in the door."
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where this all started from. That's where this all started. So our model was never what somebody else had in place. Our model is what we wanted to see going home at the end of their stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, obviously, you brought up a good point, man. You know, when people commit drug crimes, you know, sending them to jail and everything. But innately, if that was to answer the problem, then our problems would be solved, right? So I guess what I'm trying to ask you is that from Walker County's perspective, what can they teach other counties, the state, the country, other countries, wherever it may be? What has helped y'all the most, and what do you see the most out of these people who complete this program?
Well, we're still very new into this. I mean, we're not even officially recognized yet. And one of the confusing things about when we talk about getting approval for the CART program is the CART program is nothing new to what's been going on at the sheriff's office. What it is it's an expansion and an organization of things that were already in place.
Yeah.
We've had recovery services coming into the jail to help us get folks programmed and assessed to leave jail to go to court-ordered treatment.
Right.
We've had programming come in to teach fathers how to be better dads, mothers how to be better moms. We've had ministries come in all along the way. We've done that all along. What this is it's expanding it. It's taking a little bit of initiative to identify problems in people that may not identify the problem themselves. And then approaching them to see if they're interested in getting help. And if they are, then they voluntarily become part of this program, and we plug them in and we try to get this out. Now, in the few months that we've been expanding these services in the jail, one thing that I feel like I've noticed is we've had a reduced number of medical emergencies in the dorms where people are getting contraband in and overdosing.
Right.
I think that we're having a reduced number of intra-population hostilities where people, if they're on taking medication, they're not as antsy, they're not as pissed off ready to pick a fight about things. And I may be jumping the gun on this, but I feel like since we began this interaction, I'm not seeing people coming back into jail as quickly as I was before. So that's my ultimate goal, is because every day that I have you in recovery, that's the day that you're more than likely not committing crime. And that's the day that I don't have to worry about you coming back. Hopefully it's the day that I don't have to worry about you using something, a substance that your body has lost a tolerance to and overdosing and dying. And so that's the end goal. So probably only a month or two into the actual gears turning on this, I see a little bit, but in a year or two I hope to come back and tell you, man, you just got to see what these numbers look like. They're excellent. You know? So and I think our people I think our folks, when you invest in somebody, especially if you're coming at this from the cop perspective, if you're on the recovery perspective, we're not supposed to have this conversation right now. But all of a sudden, we have us having this conversation, and I'm investing time in you. I'm trying to figure out what's caused these problems, because trauma is the underlying majority of the issue.
Of course.
Bad family background is in there too. But when you have somebody from the outside who maybe doesn't have to do this, but they're trying to do this, all of a sudden you become accountable to somebody else, not just the folks that you've been trying to be accountable for years that may not have been so supportive.
Right.
So I think we're seeing a lot more people staying in long-term recovery, or in recovery a longer time now.
See, that was my question too, is so since you've going back kind of in your past, and your first initiative was to send people to jail and kind of maybe make that their learning lesson.
Yeah.
For being like kind of flipping that mindset, are you now more aware of like, do you see more success rates with people going into recovery, and then do you recommend more and more for that?
I mean, I recommend everybody needs to go to recovery. You're not going to come into the county jail on a drug charge and not have me talk to you about recovery, because you've obviously got yourself into your behavior into such a position that you're here with a related charge.
Right.
Now I know not everybody that comes into jail has drug charges, so but you can also associate thefts with that, and burglaries, and whatever it takes to get money to buy a product.
Yeah.
That's part of the game of this. And I don't recommend that you come through the Walker County CART program to get recovery.
Yeah.
Dude, there's too many people out here that can help you, and it's surprisingly easy for you to go on your own.
Yeah, of
The
course.
problem is when you're walking the streets and you're free, I can't be the person to explain this, but in my mind I feel like that they're invincible, that I got a handle on this because I'm walking the streets and I'm free. I'm not like so-and-so who's in jail, and they really don't feel like they're starting to hit that rock bottom until that door shuts behind them.
Yep.
And they're living with 70 of their closest friends.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't recommend this for everybody, but if you come in here and you're offered the opportunity, I just want you to take advantage and make the most out of it.
Of course.
I think for nothing else, our end result is positive. We're not here to try to mess you over. I'm not here to put you on a poster and make a number out of you. I want to keep you from being a number that I put on a poster.
Absolutely.
So I don't want you to be one of the 60 people in 2022 or one of the over 65 people in 2023 that died in Walker County.
Yeah.
I want you to be that, holy cow, did you see so-and-so the other day? He was looking good.
Yeah.
I got a text message today from a lady I took to rehab just a month ago. Thank you so much. I love it down here. I'm doing good. I'm never going to leave, blah, blah, blah. And she's a person who, for all purposes, society had written her off.
Yeah.
But she's got a second chance to do great things.
Yeah.
And she is going to take that opportunity, and I encourage this with everybody. I hope she takes that opportunity to get her education down and then come back and help other people get into recovery, help other folks. So that's really kind of what we're doing. I have arrested people in Walker County.
Nikki to be one, right?
Yeah.
Nikki is one of them.
Yeah.
There's another young man that I think he does child exchange out here in the parking lot on Friday nights, and if I'm ever around, he's jumping out of a car to run over and give me a hug because he attributes him being alive and him being in recovery today from me arresting him 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 7 years ago when I arrested him, I had to send him to the hospital because he OD'd in the backseat of my car. But even though he OD'd, I still was going to hold him accountable for what he did. And there's a lot of people that don't understand that. And I'm not trying to criminalize the person for what their problems are, but the behaviors they engage in is criminal.
Right. Of course.
And sometimes you have to put folks in a position to do what's right for yourself, and you'll be better for everybody else. And that young man is one of those people.
Yeah,
So,
there has to be consequences for actions sometimes, especially doing, running the roads and running the streets. Like, I mean, and, until you kind of, I feel like in my perspective as well, a lot of people give cops bad rep. I mean, for me, I'll be honest with you, there are good and there are bad.
there are.
So
I won't deny that at all.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those. I think people are more confused about who to trust. So it's what in your mind now how do you make people feel a little more comfortable to engage with you in that, if that makes any sense?
I think it does. I think education. I think the war on drugs for too long was cops here users here, and the cops eat the users and put them in jail. And I think the war has to change now to where it's an education process.
Yeah.
So not only I got folks that need to be out there going and getting the folks who are dealing drugs, getting the folks that are, I mean, to be honest, in Walker County, making drug cases is really not that hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally could sit on you literally could sit at an intersection and wait for somebody to come talk to you, and they probably have drugs on you, on them. But I'm interested in going beyond that, shooting beyond those first folks to go and educating on the back. And it's not just educating the people who are in the game; it's educating the people that don't understand the game.
Of course, yeah.
You
There's
know,
a lot of
so
people.
There's a lot of people who don't understand that.
there's a lot of people who are related to folks who are in active addiction and don't understand what active addiction are.
That's
There's a
what
lot
we're
of
trying to
police
do.
officers who are related to people in active addiction and still don't realize what active addiction is about.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they're the black sheep of the family. We can't do anything with them.
And shun them.
Shunning, ostracizing. You know, and that's, if you go back and even if you look in the biblical times, that's one of the most harshest punishments that could be done to a person is to be ostracized from a community.
Yeah.
And I mean, so, and I'm not, I laughed earlier about having the t-shirt that says hug a thug. I'm not a hug a thug guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not probably not the typical cop, but I'm not the over the edge on the other side of the world, you know, liberal about things either. I'm reality based. We have a problem. We have to identify it. But just like when I brought this up with the sheriff earlier in this process, he was probably not as he was not as gung ho as I wanted him to be, because I'm just a firm believer you need to jump in this and you just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
But he was not that, because he looks at things a lot broader spectrum than I do.
Yeah.
And that's his job to do that. But the point that he made was nothing's been working for the last how long? We got to try something to make a difference.
Yeah, of course, man.
And I think if you look at all of the research behind all this, all of the science behind this, the numbers are going to be very good in a year. Numbers are going to be better in 2 years. And that's what I'm trying to make a difference. So when you asked earlier, what can Walker County do? We're the crappiest county in the country for overdose mortalities and drug problems. What happens if we become the leading one of making a positive change for that same demographics?
I hope y'all do.
You can't.
That'd be awesome.
You can't. What do you mean we can't do it? Walker County's doing it.
Yeah.
Who ever said that before? You
Right.
know?
I know, like growing up, and just for the past 30 years, man, it's just like, what's wrong with Walker County? And I don't say that, you know, demeaning, but it's just like always drugs, gamble. I mean, just everything was always, you know, that type of thinking towards Walker County. And, you know, I was educated in Walker County too, but, you know, changing that and like you said, you know, becoming the worst, becoming the best. But it starts with conversations like this, you know, like being on the recovery side of things and the law enforcement. And like, you know, I honestly never thought I'd be in a room right here talking about this thing. But
I didn't know we were coming to the jail. I was like, what?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, other countries, when they have a transition of power, it's a bunch, okay, we lost the election, okay, you won the election, okay, that's cool. We'll get by through this, whatever. The world sucks now, whatever.
Yeah.
But you come into the conversation in your little bubble, and you have your little bubble, and then I have my little bubble. But if we don't get close enough so that those bubbles connect,
Right.
we just have 3 small bubbles.
Right.
If the 3 bubbles connect, then we all get included, and we have a larger bubble, and that's how we get
That's how more
compromised.
people get educated.
That's where we get educated. That's where we get compromised. You may not understand the way that cops do things. I guarantee you, people that are in addiction, I understand nothing of what they're doing.
Right.
And there's some of that I will never be able to understand, and I just have to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, so for you to tell me, for you to tell me what is it like to crave fentanyl or heroin, I can't put that together. What am I going to use? I gotta wake up in the morning and I want a cup of coffee. That's not nearly the same, you know. But when somebody tells me, Carl, it's like you're It's like somebody's thrown $1 worth of change in the bottom of the pool. We want you to go down there and get the dollar. Can you do that? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Go get it. Okay, but don't breathe. Don't take your breath before you go in there. Just go down there and get it.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time you're down here and you need that dollar, what are you thinking about?
Breathe.
I need air.
Yeah.
I need to crave air.
Yeah.
That's what, from what I understand, that's what that fentanyl craving is like.
Yeah.
All you want to do is just have relief.
Yeah. Get well, as they call it.
Get well.
Yeah. Get well.
So that's how I have to relate things, and that's how people who I don't understand why they don't just give up. It's not a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's not a can of dip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not, and those things may cause you illness in the long run. But doing too much snuff, what's it going to happen? You're going to get sick. You're going to throw up.
Yeah.
How about doing too much fentanyl? You're going to
Yeah.
die.
You're dead.
brother.
And the way that our drugs are changing in society right now, it's like a contest to see who can come up with the strongest drug now.
Yeah.
We've gone out of human biology textbooks now, and we've gone into chemistry from the 1950s to find chemicals that we're going to mix with not only other opioids, but let's say we want to target our methamphetamine users, so we'll put that in with their meth.
Mm-hmm.
And now nobody who has any tolerance for opioids gets nitazene in their drug,
Mm-hmm.
gets xylazine in their drug.
Mhm.
Or I found out about some other horse tranquilizer that's come out this week that getting that in there.
What, ketamine or something?
No, it's some big long M word. It's a horse tranquilizer. People in Chicago are overdosing from it.
Mm.
And it's like, who thinks about, oh, you know what? That buzz I got the other day wasn't too good, so I looked up a vet manual and I found this thing in there. You know?
I mean, it's not funny, but
But it's true.
yeah,
It's really true.
yeah,
Now, okay, that's bad. Well, guess what? Law enforcement's not prepared for that.
yeah.
I got ways of testing for fentanyl. I can't test for the 11 nitazene analogs that are out there.
Yeah.
I can't test for this new drug
It's
that's
just
out there.
newer and newer
Yeah,
stuff.
and it's
People
going
are
to take
trying.
me 3 or 4 or 5 years to catch up in this process. By that time, we'll have something new that somebody's
something
invented.
else.
I mean, it's Breaking Bad on steroids. It really is.
Yeah, no, definitely. But like you were saying, you know, like the evolution of the drug game, and obviously as the quote unquote criminals or drug, they evolve. On the other side, you have to evolve to combat that. But like in my mind, like how do you stop it from evolving?
There's no way to.
You know, and then have a conversation. Okay, so if there's no way to stop it, then how do you best combat that from a criminal aspect and a law, and like how do you start coming together to say like, all right, the problem's always going to be here, so how can we do better?
Well, I think law enforcement for the longest time has targeted the supplier. So most of Walker County drugs comes from Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
We know that.
Yeah.
So who's in Birmingham keeping it from coming here? Because our guys are just, I mean, we need to have these task forces that are like sitting here doing that. But the person in Birmingham is like looking at it, well, I'm just one small part of something that's coming from another country.
Yeah.
So that's where that targeting is. Like I said with the CART program, I'm hoping that we reduce the demand, not the supply.
Yeah.
The demand's always going.
Yeah,
Always
demand's
going.
always gonna
It's
be
always going to be there, and
But
that's what I was trying to say.
If I
You know.
can give you a $3 dose per day of a pill that'll take that craving for that
Yeah.
$60 worth a day, well, whatever. I mean, I think it's. I think we can get some boxing here for real quickly doing the math. $3 a day, yeah. I mean, $6 a day. I'd rather invest $6 in a medication that's controlled, uniform. It's going to be the same over and over again than have you pay $60, $100 a day for a substance that today may have fentanyl in it, tomorrow may have nitazene, next week may have arsenic.
Yeah.
And you don't ever know what's coming in that.
Yeah.
So it may be naive to approach that. Maybe why nobody has tried to do it as much as they have, but
Yeah.
it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we call ourselves as figures. So, like, you know, it's kind of one of those where you never know where it's kind of, you're gonna figure it out. It's like you said, it's evolving. So where do you go? Like so it changes every day. So how do you stop it? And I feel like people forget about that. It's like, oh, they give y'all cops and things a bad rep, or law enforcement a bad rep, but man, y'all are fighting a fight that is ongoing.
Well, and we're fighting a fight that is overlooked sometimes, because if, let's say, a gram of fentanyl killed 500 people, okay? We have folks in jail. We had a guy about your size in jail said he did 3 grams a day.
Yeah, that's right.
That's 1,500 me's that could die. So if I have the wrong interaction with the substance that you are in possession of, that's me that dies.
Yeah.
So you didn't mean for that to happen, but it still happens. We have a lot of times we have folks in the jail that we respond to help folks that appear to be overdosing on an opioid, and we Narcan them, and now all of a sudden we have to Narcan the CO, then we have to Narcan the nurse, then we wind up with 3 or 4 folks going to the hospital, and nobody in that person who originally Narcaned on that or overdosed, that wasn't his intent. His intent was quit being sick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything else is literal collateral damage.
Yeah.
But it's not. Sometimes you have to have collateral damage, but that's completely unnecessary collateral damage.
Yeah, it is.
So
I want to switch gears a little bit here, man. You talked about MAT here in jail. So I know when I went to jail, which has been a few times, my biggest thing was being sick, and that's why I exacerbated a lot of my problems by not turning myself in those times. Because I was like, man, when I go to jail, I'm gonna be sick the whole time and everything. So how has that helped people? I guess open up, like, at least when I go to jail, I'm not gonna be sick for 7 to 10 days.
Well, and here's where I watch a Netflix show called 96 Hours. So I figure if you can live through 96 hours, you're on the home stretch of an opioid withdrawal.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. I mean, we have folks that are sick for 2 to 3 weeks at a time.
Oh yeah.
So I've got to the point now where, and this isn't, I'm not the one that, don't ever think that I'm the one that makes decisions on who gets to be on medicine or who doesn't. But some of my job, most of what my job is trying to identify people in several different directions who are most likely candidates and getting them the resources they need. So I'll find out from the recovery community that Jane Doe came into jail and she's a real bad fentanyl user and she's going to get sick. So that's piece of information 1. We'll get the drug screens from when she came in where she tests positive for fentanyl. That's information number 2. And then I want to get an assessment done on her through one of our recovery services so we can confirm that based off of her social information, and then we give all of that to the medical staff to make an informed decision. But sometimes in the past we've been very reluctant to trust what you say, because right or wrong, truth or not, people who are in addiction are considered to be manipulators. They're considered they're liars.
Know that.
Some of them, I mean, some folks are that way, some folks are not. But we have to have objective measures in place to see that. I want to look and see what your charge is. If you're charged with possession of fentanyl, you test positive for fentanyl, you tell the assessor you have fentanyl, chances are you have opioid use disorder. Opioid use disorder. So we're trying to do that faster in the process. And to me, in my ideal world, I want my drug screens done within 2 days. I want my assessment done on the 3rd day. And by the 4th day, when you're starting to really come off of the opioids, and then we start you into a medication program that substitutes that. I want that fentanyl out of you, and I want something more controlled so that you don't try to hurt yourself, so that you're not living in hell for 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. I don't want the other inmates to be mad at you because you can't stop throwing up, or you take a crap in the shower, or things like that. That's the reality of what opioid withdrawal is about. And that's what a lot of folks outside of our facility don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not pleasant conversation at Sunday school class
Yeah.
or at a civic group meeting or something like that. But that's what the hardcore reality of this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's important though that, you know, that you see that, you know, and that, you know, I guess you said it's not polite to have these in civic. It's still happening. So whether we acknowledge it or not,
we need to acknowledge.
Yeah.
you need to like see this. So like, okay, this is, so then not say that you always understand it, but then you really start seeing the effects of these things.
And I guess that's where like experience as an investigator coming into this helps out.
Yeah.
So we have somebody who is in the dorm and he takes an action that seriously injures himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I go up there and I ask his cell partner, hey, what happened? Well, you know, he's been sick for a minute. How long has he been here? 5 or 6 days, I guess. Okay. Did he say what he was using? Man, he was on fent bad.
Mm-hmm.
That real quickly adds up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not my fault. I didn't have all the information at the time
Mm-hmm.
to know that. And I'm learning every day as we go along. But dang it, he's somebody that we could have avoided a serious self-inflicted injury with.
Yeah.
And
that's
that's where my end goal is that.
Yeah. And that's the sad reality, man, just because, like we've talked about it too, is you can't save everybody, you know? And it's a harsh reality in my perspective too, I think everybody's. But, you know, but the point is trying, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's all you can do, but people, you know, forget that where y'all are trying to deal with this epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, it's a harsh reality is you can't save everybody, because some people, don't want to be saved, you know, or, you know, they're gonna go do what they're gonna do.
But most of us walk around this world with this toolbox on top of our shoulders.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And that box is full of broken tools. It's
Yeah.
full of tools that don't work. It's full of tools we're scared to use that we may have learned somewhere. And when you come in here, I want to throw away your old tools and start putting new tools in.
Right.
I don't care if you don't use them when you get out. I just want you to know that they're there.
They're there.
Yeah.
You know, and we have a process in Alabama where on these assessments, it may take us longer to get you into certain facilities, certified facilities, but those certified facilities are going to take your medication with you.
Mm-hmm.
So that develops that continuum of care.
Yeah.
I don't want you tripping on the threshold when you walk out the door.
Yeah.
Now, well, it's easy to sit in jail and you get on that medication for a few days, a month or so, and you're like, I think I can beat this. I just want to get out and go to rehab.
Yeah.
You know, okay, we're going to taper you off of that, but we're going to send you to, if you want to go to that place, but we're going to let you know if you stick on this and you do it this way, you may be better off in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell. Everybody's different. I can't tell. I just tell that there's 180 people in jail and there's 180 pathways to recovery in jail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, that kind of brings up another point. I wanted, you know, like you said, 180 people in jail, man. You can have certain things that you do in a recovery program, but at the end of the day, that's 180 different ways. Because there's no A, B, C, D. If you do these things, your life's going to be, better or whatever. Because, you know, I've literally talked to thousands of people in recovery, right? And you might hear some similar stories, but for the vast majority of people, you know, they all kind of had to do things differently.
Yeah.
You know, but having the presence of mind saying like, hey, we're trying to give you those tools you were talking about. You can use them, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to do this the best way for you. Type, you know.
Well, it's like in 2 or 3 hours, we're going to have a class in here. We're going to have a 12-step class come in here for about 20 males that want to come in here. This Sunday it's Narcotic Anonymous. Next Sunday it's Alcoholic Anonymous. Well, why do you have Alcoholic Anonymous come in if most of your folks are on narcotics? Well, because AA has been a pathway for some people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the difference is. I don't care what the difference is from my perspective. I want you to identify the difference and make that difference work for you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at some point in the future, I'd love to have a Celebrate Recovery so we can bring in a 12-step concept with a faith-based initiative behind it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that, and as soon as I can figure it out, we're going to have one.
Yeah.
You know, but, we're just limited on staffing and things like that to make things happen, but we're trying to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's the biggest thing I think. I know from, me looking back in my walk into recovery is, having these different options. Because, at the end of the day, we do this podcast, we have people on, but it's up to that individual whether they're going to do this or not.
Right.
And I know in my walk, a lot of the times, it's like you said, you have these things, these tool belts on your head that it's like you want to fix people, but you can't. You can say, I can give you all these opportunities, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to engage.
You have to engage, you have to make it happen.
That's where I was kind of trying to say earlier, not that you can't save everybody, but you have to ultimately go in for yourself. Right. That's where people forget. It's not doing it for anybody else, it's doing it for yourself. And that's where, unless that individual wants it, you can't save them.
But if you're here for 60 days, 90 days, 2 years, I hope at the end of that time period, when you walk out, you take a little bit of something with you and being here for a whole lot of nothing.
Right.
And we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results and being mad when the same thing happens over again.
Yeah.
So it has to start here. I got the biggest fish net in the county. I mean, I'm going to catch. If the statistics are true and 65% of people who are in addiction go through the criminal justice system, that's one thing. The numbers here, I know 85% of the folks that come into jail test positive for an illicit substance.
Yeah.
So, and that's everything from, and they're charged with everything from murder to possession of controlled substance to theft to breaking in cars to domestic violence. It's just there in that it's that foundation that we have to break through and build a new foundation underneath it.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Man, that's awesome.
Well, is there anything you want to kind of point out, man?
Man, I don't know. I think you kind of nailed it now to the T. So.
It was awesome. Really. We had an awesome
We appreciate
conversation.
you so much.
Really, when we say I thank you, I know Chase does too. And thank you, Nikki, for facilitating this as well. But man, I think really this is, at the end of the day, it's not about necessarily what we're doing. It's about us. And this keeps us in check.
Yeah.
This keeps me in like having conversations with different people keeps me in check. And I look forward to these things. I know we film it and we put it out there, man. But man, this stuff that I love having these conversations with people, man.
I just love helping people. That's why I got into this.
We gotta have
that's
more
what
people.
We want
That's
to
ultimately
do,
our goal,
just for more information to help people, and that's where we want to go, because so many people have helped us. We've also been in facilities, so it's like, if we can help people understand, maybe just a little bit, or a family member, or just anybody, man.
I hate that it would ever come to this point, but to me, the biggest success of a program would be somebody who comes to me and says, hey, I need to turn myself in on a warrant. I'm going to be sick, but I know y'all can help me, and I want this to stop. That would be when that happens, that's going to be one of my ultimate goals. Now, just getting a text that says, hey, I'm 28 days clean and it's because of you, I'll take that little win every day.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it's not up to me. I'm just a facilitator through a lot higher calling and a lot higher being that's making life change in their world. I'm just providing them a new toolbox. That's it.
And we need more law enforcement like that, man. I really hope what y'all are doing here really works, because that man.
I'd like to see
really
a model across the country.
Yeah,
I think you're making a good staff, though, man, and a good base for everything.
We're doing this in a county, and we're able to do this financially in a county without a lot of money using grants. If we had revenue of larger counties that had percentage-wise smaller problems, to be honest. The overdose mortality rate for Walker County is higher than Jefferson County. They have 450 a year die from overdose, but the 65 plus for us, based on our population, is almost 100.
Percentage-wise,
well, it's a lot lower. So,
it's
it's just bad.
Yeah, man.
Man, we appreciate you, dude.
Yes,
So
sir.
thank you so much, man.
Yes,
We
sir.
appreciate everything.
Yeah.
Hey, show Carl some love for us, man. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. All
Love
right.
you guys.
Thank you.